Guys, this story is absolutely fucked. And to be honest, I didn't really want to tell this goddamn story, but to be honest, I needed to get it out because one, it's not really a crazy story. It's not like crazy as my other stories, but it kind of does relate to like the K story, but it doesn't really either. This just involves some random bullshit. So, let's get to it. This all starts at like the first house where Kay lived and also the other roommates. But at the time, we used to live with like a bunch of males, but they were very messy. They never were organized and they never kept their rooms clean or anything. Mind you, our landlord did come to the house like once every Saturday in the morning time to just clean the kitchen and the living room and all that stuff. But realistically, nobody ever hung out in the frigging living room nor the fucking kitchen like that unless they were gonna make something real quick and then they just washed up their stuff and put it back and then go about their day because they usually just eat in their room or eat downstairs. We never really ate in the kitchen. The only time people really ate in the kitchen was when it was like the people living downstairs. Anyway, so the landlord, after like all the guys' lease, like the guys that lived there before I moved in, after their lease were done, she had a bunch of girls move in and she said that she doesn't want any more boys moving in. She didn't mind that I stayed because I was very quiet and I was to myself. I never really had any problems with the other tenants. Nobody ever reported me to her. So she didn't really mind the fact that I was living there even though I was a guy. So anyway, we had this like group of like Indian girls move into the basement because there's like 4 bedrooms in the basement, so there's 4 of them, which made absolute sense because, you know, each bedroom in the basement was probably like $400 a month. Me at the time, I was paying like $425 for my room, which wasn't really bad considering the job I was working. I'm working full time. You already know, one bi-weekly check, I'm only paying like $425 out of the check and I have like $1,000 left to kind of do with my own leisure. But what these like Indian girls would do is that they would bring in like their guy friends and make them stay the night. Now mind you, I ain't no snitch and I do understand the struggle. The struggle is real. Niggas don't really get like the leisures that women do when it comes to getting a room, because most times when you look at Facebook Marketplace, it usually has rooms, but it'll be like females only, and it's always the good rooms. It's always the rooms that like look lit as fuck and they're clean and neat and tidy. And then when you look at the guys' room, like just guys, it's just like disgusting. There's like the rooms are just destroyed, or it's a basement apartment. It just sucks. It just sucks all the way. So they move in. They invite their like guy friends over like a bunch of times, and out of the group there was one particular dude that stood out from the rest of the guys. The other guys kind of kept to themselves. They just like did what they had to do. There was like the main girl that lived there, but she also had her boyfriend at the time that lived there too, but the landlord didn't know that. And the boyfriend was always cool with me. He was really dope. He always wanted to sit down, make conversation. We always laughed and joked and shit, talked about like certain things. Like I'll talk about like, yeah, like I smoke weed and all that stuff. And he'll be talking about how he just goes to school and works at a factory. And we would bring up our factory jobs because at that time, like it was very popular for like us like young adults. I wasn't in college at the time, but like some college students, especially like foreign college students, would have to work like factory jobs, but they were not allowed to work more than 20 hours. But they still did because you got to make your money. You got to make your bread. You got to make a name for yourself out here in these streets. So the one particular guy that was friends with the other dude that was dating the main girl, I'm going to call the guy that stood out Playboy. I don't know why. It's just because the GTA 4 gameplay is on right now. So I'm just like, fuck it. We'll call him Playboy. We ain't going to add the X. We'll just call him Playboy. So Playboy was like a wannabe thug. Like, and mind you, these were like Indian kids. Like, either they're like, I think they're either from Pakistan or India. Either one. But this dude will always act like he was like hard, like he was selling work and all this shit. But realistically, He was working factory just like the rest of us. He just lived his life a different way, which I respect, because honestly, I always find that you should be who the fuck you want to be, regardless of what people think. But it just came apparent to me that this dude was trying to act like he was in the streets, when really, in reality, he was probably really bitch made. So anyway, at the time I was dating a girl, and we were dating like while I was in high school, and I was about a year older than her. So I was 18 living on my own. She's 17 at the time. And I'm not gonna cap, like, shorty was bad. She was bad as fuck. Like, I had like a dime piece. And a lot of niggas at the time wanted my girl. But she was like dick whipped, basically. She just loved me off, like, at that time, keyword, because we're not dating anymore. But every time, like, I would bring her over, it would be every Saturday. So, like, that was the only time I could really, like, see her. And she would only be there for, like, around 4 to 6 hours, depending on, like, when her mom was gonna go get her, or if she drove there because her mom needed her car or whatever, and all that other shit. So anyway, homie Playboy sees, like, my girl, like, one day, and he is staring daggers at her. Like, he did not break eye contact with her, and she's like awkward around him because he's like hella weird. So she'll like walk hella fast into the room because she doesn't like how, like, every time she came to my crib, there was a bunch of niggas, like a bunch of Indian niggas, just like chilling in the kitchen and shit, making a bunch of food and stuff, with all the girls there just like staring at her with like stink looks, like they want to beat her ass or some shit. Yeah, that wasn't really like a good look. And also, like, my other roommate, like Kay, and this next African roommate, we're gonna call her Naomi. Naomi reported this multiple times to the landlord, and the landlord would always come, but every time she would come by to like see if there was any guys, those niggas would be gone. Like, there was no trace of them, and they would come back like later in the nighttime, like at like 12 in the morning, or like 1 a.m. or 3 a.m., just so they wouldn't like cross paths with the landlord whatsoever. So they played it very safe at the time, which was pretty smart. But on a particular day, mind you, I don't talk to Playboy. We never have any interactions. I literally just like give him a little head nod and we just go about our day. Simple as that. But on this particular day, I'm with my girl. We have sex, you already know what I mean. Like, you know, I get the Dougie in, I do my little thing. And like, you know, we're fucking. I finish up. We're like laying down. I think we're watching like Riverdale at the time. Like when Riverdale was actually like a fucking lit show. Now it's kind of ass. But I get a knock on my door. So I'm just kind of confused. Like, who the fuck's knocking on my door? So I go check. And it's Playboy. And Playboy is just like standing in front of me, and he's trying to like look over my shoulder to see if my girl is in the room. Mind you, I would always take my girl's shoes, and I also took my shoes, and I'd always put them in my room because I didn't like the idea of leaving my shoes out in the open for like my roommates to see. I don't know what they'll do. And I had very weird trust issues with people. So like I did a lot of random shit that didn't make sense, but it showed like how I didn't trust people. Anyway, so he's looking over my shoulder. I'm like, yo, what are you looking for? He's like, yo, I just wanted to like go on a walk with you. And mind you, I'm hella confused. Like, I'm so fucking confused. I don't know what the fuck he means by go on a walk. And I'm like, dude, it's like 1 a.m. Like, where are we gonna go? You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's just like we could go on a drive, you know what I mean? Like up a hill and all this shit. And then just mid sentence, when I'm about to say something, this nigga pulls out a gun, a motherfucking pistol. And mind you, at this point, I'm shitting bricks because at first I'm thinking to myself, oh, he wants to fight, like he wants to run hands. Like, I'm like, say less, let's do this shit. And then when he pulled out the glizz, I was like, whoa, buddy. Like, I got like instantly fucking startled. Like, I stopped in my tracks. But then I look at the tip of the gun and I fucking realize it's a motherfucking pellet gun. A little BB gun, my nigga. So he's pointing this fucking little ass BB gun at me, and he's telling me like, yo, we could do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. And I'm just looking at him, and I want to laugh so fucking hard. Because I'm not, at this point, I'm not afraid. Like, what are you going to do? Shoot me a bunch of times with plastic bullets? Like, I ain't scared. And even if you had, like, the metal bullet, shoot me all you want. Like, the only thing I'm going to be really worried about is getting hit in my goddamn eyes. So, like, I'm, like, sitting there. And I take, like, a bold, ballsy approach. Because he's pointing it at me. But the way he's pointing at me, he's not so confident that it's a real thing. So I pick it up. I grab it from his hand. And I'm looking at it. And I'm like, oh, this is like a toy. And his face just, like, goes into straight, like, panic mode. Because he's just like, this nigga's not scared. Like, he thought, like, he could, like, press me with a toy gun. And that I was going to just, like, be like, oh, dude, bro, like, please don't shoot me. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm a little bitch. And the thing about me is, like, I didn't give a fuck about anything. And just off of the first initial reaction of seeing the little orange tip on that shit, I knew instantly that this nigga was fucking being a weird ass nigga. I don't know how to explain it. Like, he was just being dumb as fuck. So I'm like, yo, let's go on that walk. And he's just like, nah, like, I'll just go back downstairs, ray-tay-tay, all this stupid ass shit. And I'm like, nah, let's go outside. Like, cause he knew that, like, I knew that it wasn't real, and that I'm ready to run the hands. Like, I'm ready to, like, beat a nigga's ass, cause he was on some bullshit, and it was kind of fucked up how he, like, kind of trying to press me and, like, G-check me in front of my girl. And my girl can hear all of this shit because she's laying on the fucking bed, and she also can see this nigga and him pointing this plastic gun at me. At first, she probably thought it was fucking real until she realized the orange tip, because she was just chilling. She just was acting like it was a normal day. So, fast forward, he leaves my door. I lock my door. I lock that bitch. And then, like, a week later, Naomi, the African girl that lived in, like, the next room, she reports to the landlord that, like, they keep showing back up and all this stuff. They keep making unnecessary messes, that they're not cleaning up after themselves, and that she doesn't have any idea if they're even paying the rent or on the lease in the first place. And then Kay made a complaint because I guess one of, like, the Indian guys took, like, one of her, like, beers or whatever, so she reported it to the landlord. So at this point, the landlord is, like, instantly convinced that, like, there is, like, a bunch of niggas living in the basement for free, and they're creating all this havoc in the house and causing all this problems and drama and bullshit for us tenants to deal with. So she asks me, because I haven't reported shit, she asks me, have you seen any boys at the house staying over the night that are not on the lease? And I'm not gonna cap, guys, I snitched like Randall from fucking Recess. I didn't give a fuck, because I'm like, this ain't the boy. And plus, this nigga was being mad disrespectful. And also, I was kind of getting sick and tired of, like, walking in the house from work and just seeing a bunch of Indian niggas just chilling in the kitchen and living room like they live in this bitch, like they pay rent in this bitch. And they probably did. But regardless of that, it's just like, you guys are basically living here for free in theory. So the landlord storms to the crib, like, the next day later, like, early in the fucking morning. And mind you, they didn't even have a chance to walk out the fucking door. Like, the landlord was this, like, Asian lady. She was, like, Filipino. I ain't gonna give her a nickname because I know I'm gonna forget that shit. And then she had her Russian husband. But I'm gonna give this nigga a nickname because this nigga was intimidating as all living shit. I'm gonna call him Boris. Like, Boris was a big, tall Russian nigga. He was 6'5". He had a thick Russian accent, and he was not trying to play with anybody. And he was loud as fuck when he talked. Like, you can hear this nigga. Like, there's oh fuck, there is no way that you could not hear this man from a mile away. Like, this nigga talked loud as shit. And the thing is, whenever I'd be chilling in the crib, I knew when not to smoke. So what I would do is, since I knew the landlord would come every Saturday, I would not smoke in the house on Friday. And then Saturday, when it came about, my room wouldn't smell like weed or anything, and plus I'll leave my window open so that like my room could get like some air circulation and shit. Plus I had a little Febreze. I didn't play games, bro. I was not trying to get caught smoking weed. But on this particular day, I didn't get caught, but I was like blowing smoke out the window, and I just hear Boris with his loud ass voice going, "Who is living here? Who is not supposed to be living here? He said, get out now." And the thing is, as he's yelling, there's already like 2 Indian dudes sitting on the couch, 1 Indian dude in the kitchen, and they're shocked as shit. And the only reason why I know this is because the landlord told me how she caught them in the act, because she was like complaining to me and ranting about it after she like ran them out the crib. So she starts calling for like the main Indian girl that lived downstairs to come upstairs to talk to her. And like her and her boyfriend come upstairs, and they're like, I guess they had this look of disappointment or some shit. So anyway, the landlord just starts going in on them, and I can hear her like yelling at them and like telling them like, this is not allowed. If you guys want to do this, you guys can get your own big house to you guys itself. I don't understand why you're taking advantage of a situation. There's other students out here that are struggling to look for a place to live, and you guys are taking full advantage of the situation and over like using oh fuck, sorry, I had a cough and shit, my bad for that. But she's just like basically just going in, she's just explaining like everything, like, and to be honest, the landlord's like right, like there is motherfuckers looking for a crib. You know how hard it was for me to find that crib specifically to live in, and it wasn't even like the best crib. Like I'm sharing a bathroom with 2 other people, and like I have this like decently like medium-sized room. Like that's all I'm working with, and it took me so long to get it. Like I wasn't even able to get it. Like my mom had to sign with me just so my landlord would like let me live there and shit. So anyway, like they get ran out the fucking house. They don't fucking come back. I don't see these bitch ass niggas. None of that shit. And to be honest, like I wanted them gone. Like I just wanted like peace and quiet in the house and the mobility to like use the kitchen, because to be honest, that's the main reason why like us upstairs tenants were like complaining, because we were never able to like utilize the kitchen and make our own food and shit. None of that shit, because they were always in that bitch, and it's kind of awkward to be trying to make food when you have like 10 motherfuckers staring at you in like disgust. And it's so weird, like why are you looking at me like I'm a fucked up nigga? Like y'all are fucked up for like living in this bitch, ain't paying rent. So yeah, that's my little light ass story. It wasn't that long of a story, but at the same time it was pretty fucked. I did end up seeing Playboy like 2 months later, and it was just him driving by in his little Hyundai Elantra, doing his little thing, acting weird, blasting his little like Indian like rap music, all that fucking bullshit. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys love this story time. If you guys do, please like, share, and subscribe. And peace. See y'all later.